Hello! So, by the time you've reached this video, I'm assuming you already know how to do the chain rule for differentiation, the product rule for differentiation, because today we're going to look at the quotient rule for differentiation. And it's quite a neat little rule to help us deal with differentiation because ultimately with the product rule we got to this stage where we're able to deal with equations of the format that had something times by something else. Whereas quotient rule is for situations where you've got something divided by something else. And if that's the sort of scenario you've got, if we call the numerator f of x, we call the denominator g of x, then therefore dy dx is decided by this following formula. Now, good news, this formula is in the form booklet if you're studying Maths A-level. The only downside to it is that they do, in the form booklet, write it in function notation, which I'd argue is a bit more annoying, having all these f of x's, g of x's, and the f prime, the f with the little apostrophe that is, to indicate that you're talking about the differentiated version of f of x, is a little less easy to use at a quick glance. You do have to read more carefully, but you know, some people do like to prefer to view the quotient rule in terms of u's and v's, and if you were to do that, this is what the formula would look like. However, ultimately, to a certain extent, you need to get used to viewing it in function notation format, just because, as I said, that's the way it's written in the form booklet, and you don't really want to be remembering this off by heart, because that's wasted effort if it's given to you elsewhere. Anyway, so with that said, let's just launch straight into using it, because the ironic thing is, although the formula is more difficult because it's given to you in the form booklet, ironically it means in many ways this is the easiest of all the rules to use, as long as you can follow the instructions the formula effectively gives you. So for this first one, for instance, all you've got to do is first identify what your numerator is. That's your f of x. So in this case, that's our e to the 2x. Identify what your g of x is. That will always be the denominator. And then it's just a case of getting on with it. Just similar to product rule, you've got to differentiate both of these individual parts. So e to the 2x would differentiate to two lots of e to the 2x, either by chain rule or you just remembering the rule that helps us deal with just coefficients in front of x's inside powers of e's, and then similarly differentiating the g of x, so that will get us 24x squared minus 10x. Nice. And now we've got all the things we need to be able to put it all together. So dy dx equals, it is important that you do pay particular attention to the order in which the things appear in the formula, copying across from the previous page, by the way. It's really important it's the whatever the numerator differentiated to times by just the denominator undifferentiated first, because now we've got a minus sign in between these two bits in the formula. It therefore does matter which way round you choose them, which is different from the product rule because we're adding the two bits that were being multiplied together. That meant, you know, it didn't matter which combination you tried first because, hey, we're adding, whereas now we're taking away, it does matter. So therefore, as a result, we're going to have the 2e to the 2x multiplied by the other thing down here. So therefore, we're going to have 2e to the 2x and 8x cubed minus a 5x squared. And then we're going to take away the f of x times by our g of x. So therefore that will be e to the 2x, and then we'll have the 24x squared minus 10x. And then our denominator is just the original denominator all squared. So do watch out, that denominator isn't any of the differentiated things at all. So that's something to bear in mind. Okay, so that is us differentiating something using quotient rule. It really is that simple, as long as you pay attention to where all the different parts are in the formula. Some things to bear in mind though. First of all, just like product rule, sometimes you're required to factorize your answer. That's less necessary if you're just jumping straight to plugging numbers in, like it's a question where like find the gradient when x equals 2. Well, you just plug in x equals 2, convert it all to numbers, and therefore it doesn't matter how much you've simplified the algebra beforehand, to be honest. But if it is one of the ones where they're asking you to show what the answer is algebraically, therefore you might want to be simplifying the answer, partly because they probably are asking you to do that. So all you got to do is, similar to a product rule, is just factorize, specifically factorizing the numerator. So for instance, in this particular one, you might notice we can factorize out e to the 2x out of everything. And in fact, we can go ahead of that because there's a 2 in front of the e to the 2x for this first term. But then on top of that, there's a 2 that could be factorized out of the brackets that are in this bit over here. So 2e to the 2x could be factorized out of everything, because that will leave me with an 8x cubed minus 5x squared, and then also a minus, and then factorizing the 2 out of the other bit, that will leave me with a 12x squared minus 5x. And then we still have the same denominator, but you might notice we can actually go even further than what we've done, because we'll also be able to factorize out a x out of everything as well. I should have really spotted that before. So therefore 2x e to the 2x could be factorized out of everything. We'll therefore end up with an 8x squared, a minus 5x. That's me factorizing the x out of both of those things. Multiplying the brackets, we'll have would have had a minus 12x squared, but now we're going to have a minus 12x. And then we also would have had a positive 5x, but now it's going to be just a positive 5. And the last thing to point out is I have run out of room, so I'm not going to do it here, but obviously you would combine the minus 5x and minus 12x to finish off this particular question. So there you go. That's something you have to do, factorizing the numerator to get a fully final answer depending on what it is they want it to be. Other things you do also have to watch out for additionally with quotient rule is that we don't really in maths like fractions within fractions, just because it looks horrible. So what I'm talking about is, if for instance you're given the fraction 1/2 over 3, that's a fraction within a fraction. And the reason we don't like fractions within fractions is you start to be really careful with the brackets, and also just starts looking like a mess because you end up with this really tall thing to write, which is a painful thing to have to deal with. So obviously, if it's just numbers like that, then you can just simplify. 1/2 divided by 3 is 1/6. But what happens if you have a slightly more complex thing like 1/2 plus 4 all divided by 5? Well, there are ways we have of simplifying fractions like that. And of course, again, you can just do it numerically, just simplify the top, then divide it by 5 at the end. But there's another little trick you can do. You are allowed to alter a fraction by multiplying the top and the bottom by the same thing, because if you do that, it's like you have not changed the fraction's value overall at all. So for instance, this thing, I could decide to times the top and the bottom of this overall big fraction by 2. The reason you're wanting to do that is because if I times the top by 2, that's going to eliminate the denominator of the fraction of 1/2. So therefore meaning I won't have any more fractions within fractions anymore. So for instance, that would in this case lead to a much more simple answer, because I'd end up with 1 plus 8 over 10, which therefore then is very easy, because then you find out, oh, actually this was just 9/10. So although there are other ways of being able to deal with that fraction, that's a pretty nice way of dealing with it. And we're going to be making use of that in our example over here. So for instance, it's quotient rule. We can see that. So first of all, you identify your f of x and you differentiate that. So 2 ln of x differentiates to 2 lots of x to the power minus 1. And then we also identify a g of x, which is sine of x. Question doesn't say, but we're going to assume it's in radians, because then that allows us to differentiate sine of x to get cos of x. I'm assuming you know that sine of x differentiates to cos of x. If you don't, there we go, fact of the day. Sine of x differentiates to cos of x, and there'll be another video on this channel at some point explaining exactly why that is the case. But for the moment, just accept it. It does. It's something you're meant to just know off by heart for Maths A-level. Anyway, therefore, we can now put this all together to find dy dx, because dy dx will be f of x differentiate f prime, in other words. So that's our 2x to the power minus 1 times by our g of x. Take away our f of x times by g prime of x. So that will be minus 2 ln of x times by cos of x. And then on the bottom, we've got our g of x all squared, which would just be sine squared of x, therefore. Now, worth mentioning, therefore, for this example, you're probably looking at it, some of you, going, well, there is no fraction in this, so there's not a problem. Well, not visually, but secretly there is, because, of course, x to the power minus 1 does secretly mean 1 over x. And so that's the other thing to watch out for. We also don't want minus powers in fractions. So, therefore, it is secretly a fraction over fraction to cancel out the denominator of x that's secretly there from the x to the power minus 1. We therefore want to multiply by x to eliminate that, but the only way we're allowed to do that is if we multiply by x over x. So therefore, the 2x to the power minus 1 will just become a 2, so we've got 2 sine x, and then we'll end up with minus 2x ln x cos of x. That's the top fully multiplied. And then on the bottom, we are going to have to multiply that by x as well to end up with x sine squared x. And there you go. Now, although it doesn't look very nice still, at least there aren't fractions within fractions. Other things to be aware of, like all these rules, you only have to apply it to the part that requires the rule to be applied to. So remember that if you ever see plus or minuses in things that you're trying to differentiate, each thing separated by a plus or a minus is like its own mini question, and therefore we only have to apply to the rule at the moment when we need it. So for instance, this first thing is a fraction, and therefore, oh my goodness, quotient rule will be useful for that. This second thing, e to the 6x, is not a fraction, so don't try and include that as part of the quotient rule, because it doesn't need to be. It can be differentiated separately, nice and easily. So therefore, in this case, we'd say f of x equals 3 to the power of x. We'd say our g of x is equal to 2 of x. Sorry, just 2x. And then we differentiate both those things. A reminder, 3 to the power of x, you're meant to know off by heart, that differentiates to 3 to the power of x, lots of ln 3. Or at least you do if you're doing the Edexcel exam board that I am teaching. You might not need to know that derivative for some of the other exam boards. G of x would therefore differentiate to 2, and therefore, overall, the derivative would be dy of dx equals 3x ln 3 times by 2x, so it ends up looking quite messy, this derivative. Take away 2 lots of 3 to the power of x, and then we're dividing all of that by 2 of x all squared. Now the last thing to bear in mind is that that isn't the derivative completed, because we then also need to differentiate the e to the 6x, but I haven't included that as part of the quotient rule part, because now we can just write plus and then just whatever e to the 6x separately differentiates to, which is 6e to the 6x. Brilliant. Okay, and the last thing we're going to quickly cover in this video is the sort of situations where sometimes you have to use more than one differentiation rule in the same question, which is something we covered in the product rule video as well, but I thought I'd give another example of it. And you might remember that the advice I gave was to think about the order in which the operations are happening in, which people often use an acronym like BIDMAS, BODMAS, PEMDAS, or whatever to help them with that. But the crucial thing is whatever operation happened last is therefore the first thing you need to use to split up your particular expression that you're dealing with. So for instance, admittedly this is a particularly silly example for that idea in some ways, because we've got x times by ln of x, which is implying product rules being used at some point, and then because we've got the fraction, we can see that therefore quotient rule is going to be used, which, you know, surprise, surprise, quotient rule being used in a quotient rule video. Shock. But the interesting thing about that is because product rules multiply and quotient rules effectively divide, multiplying, dividing, you might remember from orders of operations, have equal priority. So actually it doesn't really matter which out of the product rule or quotient rule you deal with first, but because I've got to make a decision about which one I'm going to do, and, you know, arguably, you know, it's almost like the notation is implying, because the fraction line is under all of the stuff on the numerator, Therefore, it's almost kind of like we're having brackets around that top bit. So I'm going to view it as if we've got x ln of x then being divided by e to the 9 of x. So therefore, the divide is almost like the last thing that's happening. So therefore, the quotient rule is the first bit you need to deal with. So therefore, our numerator, x ln of x, is the f of x. The g of x is e to the 9 of x. And then you just need to differentiate both of those things. Now, the interesting thing about that is then when you get to that stage, that's when you're like, oh, wait a minute, I now need to differentiate x ln of x. But in order to do that, I need to then use product rule. So then, this is when it's helpful sometimes to just not be afraid to use a different part of your page as its own separate mini question, now viewing the fact that we've got to differentiate x ln of x as its own separate mini method that we've got to do. So we do that. So over here on the right, I'm doing that of the u and the v for the separate things that are being multiplied together. Means I can differentiate them. X differentiates to 1. Ln of x, of course, differentiates to 1 over x. And then we can do the u times the v, or dv over dx, rather. And then that is 1. And then the v times by the du over dx, which would just be ln of x. And so therefore, that's me doing the product rule to then help feed back into the working for the quotient rule. And then I can continue on with the quotient rule as normal. So e to the 9 of x differentiates to 9 lots of e to the 9 of x. And now I've got all the things I need to be able to complete the question. So, of course, we do the f prime of x times by the g of x. So therefore, that would get you this. And then we're going to take away f of x times by g prime of x, which would get you 9e to the 9 of x, lots of x, ln of x. And then we're all dividing that by g of x all squared. And that's interesting because actually it's another reason why I chose to do this specific example here at the end. Something that does occasionally happen with quotient rule. It only happens when you have a denominator with just e to the power of something lots of x, but you can end up with these situations where things will cancel out in the fraction. So for instance, in this case, e to the 9 of x as a factor cancels out top and bottom, so therefore that's something to be aware of, that can happen occasionally. So in this particular case, our derivative would just simplify to this. And there you go. That is quotient rule. Hopefully you found this video useful. I'll see you in a future video. Goodbye.